Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting to order at 5 p.m. At this time, we will hear public comments specifically related to items on the closed session agenda. Each speaker will have 3 minutes with a total of 20 minutes allocated for this portion. To address the governing board, a completed speaker card must have been submitted to the clerk of the board before the meeting began. Trustee Moran, do we have any speakers?
We do not have any speakers.
Okay, with that, at this time, the board will adjourn into closed session at 5:01 p.m. to discuss personal matters and conference with the legal counsel regarding existing litigation and potential litigation. Good evening. Welcome. The board has returned from closed session and is convening an open session at 6:04 p.m. Before we begin, please note that this meeting is being videotaped in accordance with our recently revised board policy 9324, minutes and recordings. The video recording is part of the public record and will be made available on the district's website. This revision was made to promote transparency and accessibility for our community. The board met in closed session to discuss one matter related to existing litigation, specifically an Office of Administration hearing, special ed case. The board voted to approve the settlement agreement in AOH case number 202503020956. The vote was 4-0. The settlement agreement will remain confidential in accordance with state and federal laws governing student privacy and legal settlements. Well, at this point, I am going to lead the flag salute, so if everyone would please stand up. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. It is recommended the governing board approve the minutes of the May 15, 2025 regular board meeting. Do I have a motion?
I motion.
Thank you. A second?
Second.
Thank you. Any comments? Okay, I will call for the vote. Trustee Goldbeck,
Aye.
Trustee Favela,
I will abstain as I was not present.
Trustee Moran,
Aye.
and I also vote aye, so that's unanimous. And the motion passes. Next, we're going to community relations. Dr. Paul, do you have a report to share?
Good evening, everyone. I have a note I'd like to share from the command tonight. Good evening, Superintendent Hazel, school board members, principals, teachers, and staff. I would like to share a message of gratitude on behalf of the Commanding General of Marine Corps Installations West and Marine Corps Base Camp Pendleton, Brigadier General Nick Brown. Your enduring efforts, dedication, and supportive, welcoming practices create a great, positive learning environment for military-connected students and families, a vital component of our Marines and sailors' mission, readiness, and resiliency. Marine Corps Installations West and Marine Corps Base Camp Pendleton recognizes and commends Fallbrook Union Elementary School District for being one of the few school districts in our nation that has every school designated as a Purple Star school. This demonstrates your significant commitment to excellence in supporting military-connected students and families. On a related note, I'm very proud to share that recently, the Secretary of Defense selected Marine Corps Base Camp Pendleton to be one of 2 recipients of the United States 2025 Commander-in-Chief's Annual Award for Installation Excellence. This is the highest honor a Department of Defense installation can receive. Each awardee must demonstrate excellence in innovation to sustain the mission, increase in workforce productivity, and enhance quality of life. Undoubtedly, your extraordinary support and dedication to the academic, social, and emotional well-being of our and your military-connected students contributes significantly to Marine Corps Base Camp Pendleton receiving this distinguished award. Lastly, we deeply appreciate and recognize your dedication and commitment to the welfare, of military families and fully support you in your quest of growing greatness and cultivating tomorrow's leaders. So that was a note from the Command in General, expressing just gratitude and to, of course, compliment the superintendent and her team for a great year that we had. So thank you. That's my update this evening.
Thank you very much. Okay, so next, how about Trustee Gobet?
Thanks. I'm happy to report as the trustee of Area 1 that I'm on the school facilities committee, and we've got a big ambitious project looking at the opportunities in front of us to make a once-in-a-generation investment in our schools. And Fallbrook STEM and May Ellis are part of a campus that is approaching its 100th year of service. So it's a wonderful place to send our kids to school. 3 of my children go there, and the big, beautiful trees there are a great gift to the community. And we're doing great things, improving outcomes in education, but we have an opportunity to come together as a community and really support this campus modernizing after 100 years of service. And I like to ask, if we don't have great public schools, what kind of future do we have? And when kids show up at schools that look great and feel great, they're ready to learn. They're way more ready to learn than a campus that is showing its age. So I really am passionate about the opportunity that we have in front of us, and I'd love to see our community start to generate the groundswell that's going to be necessary to bring the whole community together. It's a big project, but it translates to about 33 cents a day for the average homeowner in Fallbrook to undertake the cost of improving our facilities. So I'm really excited about that, and I'd love to see us start to talk about that and bring the community together to make this ambitious project happen. We're going to be getting more engagement with the community through the tools that we've developed about what's possible. And as we do that, we're going to be presenting those opportunities here at board meetings. So when you see that on the agenda, tell your friends, and let's treat it like a big project that we're coming together for our whole community, because it's going to be a legacy that we leave for the students and the families of the future in Fallbrook. So thank you.
Okay, how about you, Trustee Favela?
All right, good evening. Buenas tardes, Hanik y Mazanil, y bienvenidos para mi escuela. I do want to apologize for missing the last meeting. However, I was attending Fallbrook High School's biliteracy ceremony, where students were receiving the seal of biliteracy. And while I was attending, because my senior, my daughter, was also receiving the seal, I was very amazed by the ceremony and how many students were receiving the seal of biliteracy. I believe, if I remember correctly, about 80, I want to say. I'm not sure. I need to confirm that, but there were a lot of students receiving the seal of biliteracy at the high school. And these are students who are certified to be fluent in 2 languages, right? And many of them began their path to biliteracy here at the FUESD. So it's great to see this culmination of this effort. The seal of biliteracy will appear on their transcripts and on their diplomas. And while most students studied English and Spanish, a few received the seal of biliteracy from becoming fluent in sign language. Very interesting. And to receive the seal of biliteracy, students must pass a passing score on an AP test in the language that they're in their second language, and they must also score well in their SATs. Most students complete their 2 years in high school to be able to pass the AP. However, there are some students that study the whole 4 years in that language, so they're taking chemistry, I believe math, all the rigid courses that are required, and those that do complete the 4 years receive the medallion of biliteracy. I should say that this is where we see the full benefits of the dual immersion program. I know looking at some of our scores, our CAS scores, we don't see the immediate gain from looking at the scores at this level, but it is really when you see the completion of this over the 4 years is where we really need to appreciate this type of program. And of course, there's additional benefits besides just learning another language. We have students who are biliterate and bicultural as well. The appreciation of culture is more profound as far as I've seen from many of these students. And I also want to say, highlight how dual immersion has inspired my own daughter to learn more languages. She did, once completing her 2 years of Spanish, she began taking ASL, so she's taken a couple years of American Sign Language. And she, in her last year, in her senior year, she signed up for Japanese courses through Maricosta's online program. So she's now, you can say, learning a fourth language. And this is all thanks to our public education, right? So this is tremendous. I really want to make sure that it gets highlighted and celebrate those students that have completed this program. And besides that, just want to acknowledge the end of another school year. This is the week of celebrations, promotions, high school graduations. It's a good time for, especially, I want to congratulate all the families, all the teachers, all the staff. It's a really good time of the year to see all this happening. And I love seeing our celebrations, seeing our students speaking, hearing their voices at the promotions, the messages from our admin here in Spanish as well. That's been excellent. So really, really want to thank everyone for making this moment as special as it deserves, right? I do want to add a couple more things because I think it's important, and it's not directly related to schools. I do serve on the CSA 81 for local parks and rec, and some folks might have seen an issue happening with the local ball fields right next door to us. The Bonzo Fabric Little League has been, it's the home of the Bonzo Fabric Little League, and currently, just this week, the county approved the purchase of the property with a request for proposals for housing development. So that did go through. However, many Fallbrookians spoke up, sent letters, made comments online, called into the meeting and expressed our concern for losing, not just a historic ball field, but I mean, one of the few spaces that we have for recreation that's walkable, that's close to town. The few spaces that has lighting so we can play and practice in the evening. And so quite a few people did speak up, and that Supervisor Jim Desmond did recognize this concern and said that he would bring an agenda item forward sometime soon to look for some type of ball fields to compensate for that loss. So that's, as difficult, that might be, it's going to be a loss regardless. If we can compensate for that in some way, that at least there's some light at the end of the tunnel, right? Yeah, so just wanted to give an update on that end.
Excuse me, if I may ask, could you give a little detail of, why that was that they sold it, right?
Right,
Could
yeah.
you give a little detail to the public about why?
Right,
Thank
so the fire department does need funds for infrastructure, right? So, and that, our community recognizes that. Many folks did recognize that, and we do need low affordable housing as well. It's just a real difficult situation overall. We were hoping that the purchase would somehow, some way, end up in County Parks and Rec versus the housing department, and that was the concern there, the primary concern. But regardless, we're hoping that this will be compensated for in some way.
Hey, Trustee Moran, please.
I've been on this board for about 6 months. I've learned quite a bit. I'm amazed, and I'd like to congratulate not only the teachers, but the students and the parents regarding the accomplishments they've made within this school year. I've recognized that. It's been amazing. It's wow. I'm grateful I'm being part of this. I just appreciate this opportunity to see an amazing school district. been involved with a few of them, not in this degree, but I have seen an amazing difference. So I just want to tell you congratulations, not only to the students and the staff members, and especially the parents. That's primary, so I greatly appreciate it.
Thank you. So, for me, I was privileged to attend the Mary Fay graduation, where the kids were moving on to high school. And so it was well done. Well, the presentation was wonderful, and the kids were really excited, and everybody is just very happy for them and for the parents. They were very, what is the word? Just excited for their kids. And so, that's all I have to report. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I always have lots to share because there's always so much going on in the district that's worthy of celebration. And usually we have lots of students here today, and we're honoring students for reading and math and attendance. And tonight, I'm going to take some of my time as for my superintendent update to not honor our students, but to honor our staff and to welcome 2 of our staff members, and to also honor a couple of our staff members. But before I do that, I want to share just a wonderful appreciation for the end of the year celebrations. Fallbrook knows how to celebrate, and they made the end of the year so special for all of our children. We had barbecues and lunch on the lawn and bubble days and field days, and any day you imagine it, we had it at Fallbrook. And you've probably seen it all over social media. We've been posting like crazy, but it really is. Every one of those events takes a lot of planning, and it's a lot of extra. And not a lot of other school districts take the attention and time to do those very special community events to bring our families and our kids together and to celebrate. And our staff, our teachers, our principals, our directors always go the extra mile, and it really is just so powerful. And I wanted to just take a moment to say thank you for doing all the bubble days and the barbecues on the lawn and all of those things that make Fallbrook such a great place to be. So school is officially out. However, we have over 1,300 students that are participating in summer activities. We have our migrant education program that already started and is going all the way through June 27th. We also have our extended school year, which is really exciting and unique this year. We're not just opening it up for students with disabilities, but we're doing an integrated program with our general education students and our students with disabilities. And so they're in a session right now all the way through June 30th. And then comes Super Summer Camp. And Super Summer Camp is so fun, and it's also secretly academic. So we do lots of reading and writing during Super Summer Camp as well. And we have over 1,000 students participating in that portion of the Super Summer Camp. So we are busy. So we took about a 3-day break and breath and opened up our summer programs for our students. So I just want to give a big shout out to our staff who has been working tirelessly to make these summer programs just as smooth as possible. So thank you so much to them. A quick shout out is that there's still room if anybody is interested in sending students to the Potter summer program. So please tell your neighbors, tell your friends, if your child has already said to you, "I'm bored," after 3 days of vacation, we have room for you at the Potter Summer Camp. And it's really a wonderful opportunity for our 6th graders to get to already know the campus and to already meet friends. And also for our 8th graders, right? We don't want our kids playing video games all day long. We've got so many fun activities for our kids to do. So if you know anyone, please spread the word. Potter is still accepting enrollments for that. Since last we were together, I had the amazing opportunity to attend the California Distinguished School Awards, which was up in Anaheim. The whole state was there honoring schools, and I got to go with Principal Patty Parson and Amy Pleat, and Dr. Husing attended with me, and we had an opportunity to meet with the State Superintendent of Education. We got our personal congratulations, our trophy, our flag that we're gonna fly real high at our schools, and it was just a wonderful event. Not only did we get to party for that celebration, I want you to know that the students and the staff, we spent in Fallbrook style through a huge bash to celebrate this award and this honor at our schools. We had, we got those big inflatables that came to the school, not the ones you jump in, the ones that you throw a baseball, you hit a baseball through, or throw a football through, or hit a soccer ball into. And the kids got to have a special field day, and they got popsicles and pizza, and it was the best day ever for the kids. And we also treated our staff to a special lunch at each of the schools. Every child got a Distinguished School t-shirt that they wore proudly at the event. And so not only did we get to celebrate our 2 leaders at this event in Anaheim, we took the opportunity to celebrate our students and our families at Fallbrook. So I was just so proud of them. And now I would like to take some time, and I'm going to move over to the podium and finish over there. And I want to introduce and welcome 2 new staff members to our Fallbrook family. All right, I would like to welcome Raul. Please join us. You might recognize Raul from behind the camera at every one of our Raul has spent 2 years we'll talk about my communication team. So the person who does all those social media posts is that person who does and updates all of our websites in our entire district. That is him. The person who makes every PowerPoint presentation that you see publicly at our board meetings, every video that we present, every banner and sign that is printed on our schools that we're hiring bus drivers and that we're celebrating, that is every newspaper article you read in the village news, also relevant. Any emergency communication that you receive related to a house or a flood or loss of water, call at 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning, to be translated into all of that is my recommendation to the board to expert communication, to directors of communication, and to discuss into that we have Kimberly Davis, beautiful new tag that has the new one.
Feels different, but it's truly an honor. I'm incredibly grateful to have been entrusted with this role. I am proud to help continue sharing the stories of all the great things happening around our district, in our schools, and through the incredible efforts of our students. I've been and will continue to be successful in this position because I am passionate about showing our community how exceptional FUSD is every single day. I would like to thank Superintendent Hazel for believing in me and providing me the support to be successful in my role. I would like to thank Cabinet for guidance and encouragement, and I would like to thank the board for for this incredible opportunity. Thank you.
Tell your wife you bought that for her.
Okay. And now I am really excited to introduce to you the next, our newest principal of William H. Frazier Elementary School. Please welcome Maggie Taylor. So Maggie is a familiar face here in Fallbrook. Maggie was raised here in Fallbrook and then came back to Fallbrook to raise her family. And Maggie has served in many different roles. She's been a classroom teacher, she's been a coach, she's been an acting summer school principal. She was for 5 years at May Ellis as the assistant principal there, and most recently the assistant principal at Potter Junior High School. And Maggie, what you have brought to Potter in terms of the role of instructional leader has just been phenomenal. You're really going to be missed at Potter, and all the amazing transformation work that you've led over the last year is going to continue because of the solid foundation that you put in place with the teams that you worked with. It is your lens for instruction and your commitment to the success of all of our children is why I believe that you were the very right person for William H. Frazier to lead them to continued success at Frazier. And I just am so proud to welcome you to my principal management team. You're going to fit right in with the group, and I'm so very proud of you. So welcome to the team. Oh, yes.
Like our ode to the military family.
Oh, we didn't do that to Raul.
I'll get him later.
Okay, we'll get him.
Continue. Actual principal.
I love it. Okay, we'll take a picture after.
Okay.
After you.
I just wanted to take a moment to thank Superintendent Hazel, our governing board, Dr. Husing, Ms. Fustani, and Mr. Farias for entrusting me with this. I do not take this responsibility lightly. I look forward to leading in the community where I live. I am a proud, like Monica mentioned, I am a proud Fallbrook alumna, and I am so excited that my 2 children that are here tonight get to also benefit from Fallbrook schools. And so I look forward to leading at a school like Frazier, which I know has a rich history and reputation for academic excellence and social emotional learning for their students. So thank you again for entrusting me. I look forward to this opportunity, and I'm just so excited to be here in Fallbrook. Thank you.
Put in your office.
Okay.
Do you want to take a photo with? Do you guys want to come up here? Okay, come on. Come on. For the memory.
Close it up.
Okay. And now we've got some of our staff members to honor tonight, which is a really exciting thing. Every time I know how special our staff members are here in Fallbrook, and so it's really exciting when we get validation from outside the district. And so I'm excited to share with you the Excellence in Special Education awardee. Rolando Rojas, the North Coastal Consortium of Special Education, has selected you by the Community Advisory Committee to receive the 2025 Excellence in Special Education Teacher Award. This is a high honor in the work of special education. Rolando Rojas is a Fallbrook native and former FUESD student. Here, come on up, come on up. Let's give him a round of applause. I know, right? Okay, you stand right there while I talk about you and smile. So he was a former FUESD student. He began with FUESD just out of high school as a playground supervisor. He worked his way up, all while attending classes at CSUSM, where he received his degree and teaching credentials. He taught at Fallbrook STEM Academy his first few years as a primary special education teacher, and this past year he accepted an opportunity to join the Potter Junior High Special Education Department. This is where his true passion for supporting teenagers blossomed. He's well known on campus because of his presence, availability, and involvement. His colleagues shared that he easily connects with students, brings a positive energy to the classroom, and works diligently to ensure students are successful, both academically and socially. So, Rolando, to you, we are so proud and of this award that you were recognized, not only here by your colleagues, but at the county level, and that is really an amazing honor. And so congratulations for all that you do every day for our students. Okay, our next, it's a beautiful slide.
Where's the pencil?
Eliseo, where's the pencil? We got to stick it in. There we go. Congratulations to Eliseo Higinio. I know it, but then when I read it, I said it wrong. Eliseo Higinio, FUESD ELO Shining Star. And ELO is our extended learning program. And this is, again, an award not that we just decided to give, but an award from the county. So the ELO Superstar Award is presented annually by the San Diego County Office of Education, Expanded Learning Team, and the Children's Initiative. It recognizes excellence in expanded learning opportunities and after-school and safety programs across San Diego County. This year's honoree is Eliseo. He's a site lead teacher at Fallbrook STEM and a 6th grade teacher at May Ellis Elementary School. I thought that was, I read it straight. 3rd grade teacher, thank you very much, at May Ellis Elementary School. Eliseo is celebrated for his leadership, student-centered focus, and collaborative spirit, which have made a lasting impact on the Fallbrook STEM community. You were selected because of the following traits that shine in ELO. 1, exceptional leadership in developing and training staff who serve in the after-school program and intercession program. And that's not that easy. A lot of our staff members, they're like 19 years old. And you do an amazing job of training our very young staff to work in a beautiful way with our students. And building capacity is something that is so essential for successful leaders. Strong relationship building. This is something that I see whenever I go to May Ellis. I see that you have a beautiful relationship with our students and our family and our staff. You also were awarded for dedication and reliability as a role model who embodies the core values of expanded learning. Congratulations so much, Eliseo. Okay, and I've got one more award to Sarai Rojas, FUESD ELO Shining Star. Let's give a round of applause. Sarai serves as our ELO clerk and previously worked as a bilingual liaison at Live Oak. Oh, I need the last part, Kimberly. I need more information. Hold on, pause just for one moment. We've got lots more great things to share about Sarai. She always has an amazing, positive attitude, a dedicated, you see she's always smiling. She deals with a number of challenges sometimes in ELO, whether it's for registration or making sure that the children are being picked up on time and checking in. And she always does that with an amazing smile and a big heart and a positive attitude, treating our parents as our VIPs. Oh, and the official, hold on. I know I could have Lily stand up here and talk for a half an hour about how fantastic Sarai is. But officially, you're being honored by the county, not just me in my opinion, that you were instrumental to the program development. As the ELO clerk in 22-23, Sarai played a vital role in building our after-school program. Her strong organizational skills and collaborative approach, rooted in her experience as a formal bilingual liaison, made her an invaluable asset to the team. She also was chosen because she's reliable and detail-oriented. Ms. Rojas is known for being dependable and highly efficient. She ensures all requirements and attendance reports are accurate and up to date and completes compliance work with confidence, consistency, and care. And the last piece, she manages large-scale enrollment. As I shared with you, we have over 1,300 kids that are just here for our summer program. She enrolls over 1,200 students across 8 schools in our City Span program, which is an enormous task. And it's the essence, in this essence, is the largest group of students in the district. So it really is a joy and a pleasure to see you recognized by the county for what we know you do every day. Congratulations.
Somebody's grandma is going to be super happy. So let's do a family photo. All right, everybody hold their award. Here we go. I love it. This is going to be a great little group. All right, congratulations. Where did it go?
Well, thank you for that. Congratulations to everyone. At this time, we will hear public comments related to items on the open session agenda, as well as non-agenda matters within the board's jurisdiction. Speakers are allotted up to 3 minutes each, with a total of 20 minutes for a particular item or topic. While the Brown Act allows the board to hear issues within its jurisdiction from the public that are not on the agenda. It only allows the board to respond in a very limited manner, such as providing direction to staff. If the board were to have more than this type of brief discussion on an item not on the agenda, it could be a violation of the Brown Act's rules for posting the agenda. To address the governing board, members of the public must have submitted a completed speaker card to the clerk of the board before the open session portion of the meeting began. Trustee Moran, do we have any speakers?
Yes, we do. Eddie Jones.
Hi, my name is Eddie Jones, company officer from the North County Fire Protection District, and really what I want to do is, President McBride, Superintendent Hazel, and members of the board, I wanted to express a thank you from the fire department to the help that your district did. On May 3rd, the North County Fire Protection District coordinated a wildland fire symposium where we worked with the public and other public agencies to go ahead and provide an educational seminar to the public on the issue of wildland fire. It was not just fire department centric. We had partners from the Sheriff's Department, from several school districts, the Water Department, and other agencies. And the goal of this was to provide as much information, broad information, for preparing, reacting to, and then recovering from a wildland fire. Specifically, your agency, and I don't know, it might have been Raul or somebody else back there, was very instrumental in recording this and putting this up on your YouTube site so that people who could not be at the seminar would be able to see it. So on behalf of myself and Chief Keith McReynolds, we want to thank you for your partnership and help with that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's all our speakers for tonight, so we'll move on to Board Operations. It is recommended that the Governing Board approve in the second reading Board Policies 0100, 0400, 2140, and Board Bylaws 9223, 9310, 9322, 9323.3, 9324, and 9400. Do I have a motion at this time?
I'll motion to approve.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I second.
Thank you. Any comments? Anyone have questions, comments?
Did we get a date on the policy for our board self-evaluation?
No, you know what, I didn't add a date, and I know I didn't have a chance to get back to you about that. One of the challenges of adding a date to the self-evaluation is that it locks us in to a particular month where, like, for instance, our consultant, Bob Kane, who came and spoke to us at one of our last sessions, talked about we wouldn't do a self-evaluation this year because we haven't formed, the board hasn't been together long enough. And so they recommend that we, as a board, are together for about a year before we would enter into a self-evaluation process. It is, it is a time-consuming process, and we get great information. I think that it is important. I think it's something that is listed to do annually, and I don't know that we would want to lock ourselves into a particular date. Because what we've noticed is that our board members have come at different times throughout the year, and we want to make sure that the policy is open enough that it allows us the flexibility to make that decision based on the needs of the board at the time.
And any other questions or comments? No? Okay, I will take a vote. So Trustee Goldberg?
I vote to approve.
Trustee Favela?
Aye.
Trustee Moran?
Aye.
And I also vote aye, so the motion passes. Now the Education Services. At this time, we are opening public hearing 2025 to 2026 Local Control and Accountability Plan. Update for comments. Do we have any speakers?
No, we do not have any speakers.
Thank you. All right, so no speakers. Okay. Okay, I am now closing the hearing. Next, Ms. Tavka Bustani, Assistant Superintendent, Educational Services, will provide an overview of the 2025-26 Local Control and Accountability Plan update and the 2025-26 LCAP Federal Addendum.
Superintendent Hazel and members of the Fallbrook community. It's an honor to stand in front of you today to present our first read of our 2025-2026 Local Control Accountability Plan, otherwise known as LCAP. I'm proud to share the progress we've made as a district and the bold steps that we're taking to ensure that every student at Fallbrook receives the quality education that they are entitled to, that they feel supported, that they feel empowered, and most importantly, they were equipped to thrive. At Fallbrook Union Elementary School District, we are deeply committed to fostering a vibrant, inclusive, and healthy learning environment where every student can thrive. Our board goals, the ones that you developed diligently, are intentionally aligned with the priorities outlined in our LCAP, ensuring that our vision translates into meaningful action across all of our schools. This evening's LCAP overview will include our engagement process, timeline, budget overview, successes and needs, goal reflection refinements, federal addendum, and next steps. Our LCAP has been thoughtfully crafted to address the rich and varied needs of the students and families we are so proud to serve here in Fallbrook. This plan is for our children. We are proud to serve 5,121 students from preschool to 8th grade. And when we say that each and every student matters, we believe it. We consider their unique needs. 7% are from the migrant program. 23% are English language learners. 73%, and I pause there, 73% of our students live in poverty. And our goal is to ensure that every child receives the academic, the social, the emotional support that they need, and that's exactly what this LCAP is for. 18% of our students are identified as having unique learning needs, and 25% of our families, we say, are proudly military connected. So what is the LCAP? Oh, I do want to say, and I apologize, 12% of our students are reclassified, and our goal is to increase those numbers. So what is the LCAP? The LCAP is a 3-year strategic plan that outlines our district's goals, our actions, our services, and our investments to support positive student outcomes aligned with the state and local priorities. Although the LCAP spans 3 years, it is a living document. We review it every year, we seek feedback every year, we reflect every year, and we refine every year. And it is designed to assess our progress. It's how are we doing and what adjustments can we make or should we make based on the data and feedback from our community to ensure that the plan is addressing their needs. So it is evolving. It's not a one-time static document. It really is evolving, and we make adjustments along the way. So our LCAP are intentionally aligned with our California 8 state priorities, reflecting our deep commitment to supporting the whole child. And we say that over and over again, the whole child. And that means that we are here to ensure that they receive not only academic support, but support to make sure that there's scholarly students that are thriving in our schools. These priority areas recognize that student success is influenced by a range of factors, both inside the classroom and outside the classroom, including academic achievement, school climate, family engagement, and access to a broad course of study. Together, they guide our efforts to ensure every student in Fallbrook has the opportunity to succeed. So, This seems a little overwhelming when looking at it, but just know that the process that we go through, and I mentioned it before, is cyclical. It demonstrates that it's not a one-time plan, as I said, but a continuous cycle of reflection, refinement, and growth. You'll see where the arrow is indicating where we are in the process. So we developed the plan last year, a 3-year plan. We implemented it with fidelity this past year. We reflected on our progress. We received feedback from community, from staff, from families, and students. And now we're entering in the refinement phase to ensure even greater impact. So again, we seek feedback, we seek input, and we revise and reflect along the way. The LCAP begins with a budget overview for parents. This graphic illustrates the projected revenue by funding source, giving a high-level view of how our district resources are allocated. Later this evening, our finance team, Mr. Farias, will provide a more detailed budget overview. As shown here, the larger circle represents the district's total operating budget, while the smaller circle zooms in on local control funding formula, LCFF revenue, specifically highlighting the portion that comes from supplemental and concentration funds. LCFF provides a base funding for all students, along with additional funding known as supplemental and concentration grants for students who need extra support. Students such as our English language learners, our foster youth, our low-income students, to ensure that every child gets what they need to be successful. The 105-page plan that you reviewed is organized into distinct sections, including an overview, summary of progress, and stakeholder engagement efforts. This table provides a quick reference to help you navigate the 25-26 LCAP update with clarity and ease. So we are proud to share with you some of the highlights this past year of our LCAP implementation, reflecting meaningful progress toward our goals and a strong foundation for continued growth. So what can we celebrate? We've seen growth in ELA and math on the California dashboard and the 2024 CAS. We've seen a reduction in chronic absenteeism. We've expanded the use of local assessments to monitor student learning. We have used data along the way to measure our progress, and our leaders and our teachers are using data to make sure that every child is making progress toward their goals. We have stronger literacy engagement across all grade levels. We're seeing reading happen, reading being celebrated, reading taking place in our classrooms, and we're very proud of that. And we continue to invest in professional learning to make sure our teachers are equipped with the knowledge and the skills to deliver high quality Tier 1 instruction. And finally, as Superintendent Hazel mentioned, 2 schools are recognized as our California Distinguished Schools, La Paloma and Live Oak. So those are very proud accomplishments. We can reflect back and say that we are proud of making happen in our schools. However, we do have needs, and we've identified those needs. We will continue to remove barriers for our students experiencing homelessness, ensuring they have the resources, consistency, and supports they need. We recognize the need for deeper alignment in how we support students with disabilities. That is another student group we're tracking and monitoring this year. And then finally, we are going to ensure that we accelerate language development and academic achievement for our English language learners through rigorous instruction, high quality scaffolding, and meaningful opportunities for communication and engagement. At FUESD, we believe that meaningful stakeholder engagement is essential. Throughout the development of the LCAP, we created multiple opportunities for input from a diverse range of educational partners, including school site forums, parent groups, staff community organizations, survey, and public comment opportunities. After collecting and analyzing all that data and the feedback, we identified consistent themes across all groups. This alignment reaffirmed our shared priorities and our deepened commitment to student success. Now we're going to turn to the goals, and you'll see what the refinements we made moving forward. So for each goal, there's a distinct process. We have the metric, how we measured it, the analysis, the data, what the data revealed about our impact, and actions, what we plan to do to achieve that goal. So we're going to start with goal 1. We're very familiar with this goal, and that is to ensure that we implement relevant, coherent, and rigorous standards-based instructional programs to improve student learning and increase student achievement. A key priority within this goal is the board's strong commitment to developing proficient readers by 3rd grade. We remain committed to that goal. Ensuring early literacy success remains at the forefront of our work, and we continue to monitor closely and invest in high-quality teaching and learning practices that will support all students. So the metrics, what are we using to monitor that? We use a broad range of state and local data to measure academic achievement, language development, access to instruction, and participation in key programs. This data ensures we're providing high-quality, equitable instruction supporting every learner across all content areas. So in goal 1, what's our analysis? Well, we have highlights and we have enhancements and refinements moving forward. So what we can say based on feedback that we've received, we can say some of the highlights are our strong academic instruction and support. Our instructional coaches played a pivotal role in ensuring that teachers provide quality Tier 1 instruction every day. We had reading intervention teachers catching students up every day in every school, pulling small groups, providing that targeted support that they need to succeed. We had ongoing professional development. We invested heavily in our teachers to make sure that they felt supported to meet the diverse needs of students. We also invested in our PLCs. Our teachers came together every month and they learned from one another, and they shared best practices, and they monitored students, and they collaborated, and they grew their capacity to support students. Progress monitoring and targeted intervention. Teams met and they analyzed their data on a regular basis, and they reallocated their resources based on that data. And so that was a strong feedback that we received, that those were strengths. In addition to the academic, we are proud to say that our VAPA programs, the expansion through the PLC VAPA days and the PLC wheels, students were engaged in meaningful art, music, theater, engaging lessons, all the while learning standards-based instruction. So those were all highlights and strengths of Goal 1. What do we need to improve with Goal 1? We need to continue to focus on student engagement and participation through writing and oracy. We know writing and literacy and language development is a key. We need to focus on that, and we have a plan to address that. We need to focus on enhancing English learner progress, monitoring, and professional development on language growth and strategies. We know that's an area of growth for us as a system, and we're going to provide support there. And we're going to continue aligning our resources, not just 1, 2, 3 times a year, but more frequently, and taking all the site resources and aligning them to students and grade levels based on need. The actions here, as I said, we know what's working and we're going to continue with that. High functioning PLCs, quality Tier 1 instruction, ongoing professional learning, VAPA, STEAM lessons. These are all of the actions we're going to maintain moving forward. And then the bulleted areas, the areas that you see in bold bullet, are the areas we're going to continue to work on. As I said, professional development in writing, math, and culturally relevant instruction. That's going to be an addition this year, a refinement. Professional development in language growth and data cycles with resource alignment. So now we move on to Goal 2, and as we've always said, Goal 2 is just as important as Goal 1, and this is because without a safe and supportive environment, meaningful learning cannot take place. So goal 2 is focusing on ensuring and nurturing a safe, inclusive climate that promotes the social, emotional, and physical well-being of our students, families, and staff. Tied to goal 2, we have metrics that we use to monitor how our students are doing, including suspension rates, chronic absenteeism, district needs assessment. We conduct surveys. We ask students how they're feeling. We ask families how they're feeling. We constantly take that feedback and survey data and make adjustments. With the California Healthy Kids Survey, we look at expulsion rates. We have an amazing district wellness committee to ensure that our staff are feeling like they are thriving and have the mental supports they need. So those are the metrics we are using. And in goal 2, we identified, we can say that we made significant progress here in improving attendance, strengthening social and emotional support systems. Our chronic absenteeism declined by 9.1%. Students in grades 6 to 8 reported high levels of connectedness and supportive adult relationships, a promising indicator of our school climate work. However, we do have enhancements as well. So the feedback from the California Healthy Kids Survey highlighted areas of growth, particularly in the upper elementary grades, with a 1% decrease in supportive relationships and a 4% decrease in connectedness amongst 5th graders. This is an area of growth that we need to address. This signals a need to deepen our support for the students. Our actions here, our schools are phenomenally resourced. As I said, we have social workers, we have counselors, we have behavior techs, we have an amazing support staff, an amazing curriculum, our SEL curriculum. We have MTS supports to ensure that we're tracking students' social emotional data. So we're going to continue with our action services here. We're not changing anything, but we're going to continue because we're seeing the return on our investment. We're going to now move on to goal 3. And goal 3 is about strong family community relationships that promote engagement, collaboration, and authentic partnerships. Because we know when we work together with our families, educators in the community, we create the conditions for our students to thrive. And we need our parents as partners, and they serve as key partners in their child's academic journey. So the metrics we have here will continue to monitor progress on goal 3 through multiple metrics, including family attendance at school events, participation in leadership opportunities, and feedback from family surveys. This remains a key area of focus, and we're going to continue to strengthen our partnership with families in the broader community. Highlights of this goal. So we can proudly share that we strengthen family and community engagement through clear communication, expanded parent education, and increased volunteer partnerships. However, we do have areas of growth here and refinement. Our needs assessment survey return rates declined by 17%, and only 50 LCAP input surveys were received through input session attendance, although input session did increase. We had 161 partners attend input sessions for the LCAP, which is a 35 more than the previous year. So we will continue to work on ensuring our families said that they would like more parent education and workshops based on interest. We want to see an increase in response rates on needs assessment and LCAP input surveys. And we do want to increase overall attendance rates at meetings. This is a constant goal that we strive to improve. Here are the actions. We're going to continue. We're not changing any of our actions. We're going to continue to provide opportunities for parent leadership through a variety of venues and forums, family nights on a variety of topics such as STEAM and technology, cyber awareness, safety, language and literacy. These are all the topics our parents are saying that they would love to engage in. Regular and consistent communication. We have an amazing communication single person department who is working feverishly behind the scenes through websites, social media, engagement. You heard it earlier on. I don't have to repeat it, but we're going to constantly work on ensuring that we continue with these actions. And we have a full-time bilingual community support assistant in town schools. That's amazing, to help with communication, to bridge the gap between school and our families. So now we move on to goal 4, and the state calls this goal the equity multiplier goal. And really what it is a targeted commitment to support and improve outcomes for students at the highest need schools through evidence-based intervention and resources. So here in Fallbrook, the goal 4 is our Santa Margarita Academy. It's a place of second chances, we say, of new beginnings. It's an alternative to expulsion. Students receive specialized support. They receive social, emotional support, academic support, intervention. So when they're there, we get them right back on track and re-engage back at their school. So we are proud to serve our students, to make sure they feel valued and supported, and also reduce the risk of dropout and opening doors to a brighter future. And that's what Santa Margarita is really about. So we do have daily attendance that we're tracking, pre and post teacher perception data. We ask students, actually, after you exit the program, how did you feel? What worked for you? So we ask children for their feedback and get data on them and on their experience, and we use that data to improve the program. And we just want to say a side note to that, we finished the year, 6 attended during this year, all 6 promoted, but 1 student at Santa Margarita Academy. So what did the data reveal regarding the strengths and the highlights? We had positive student feedback. Students felt supported. They felt included. They felt heard. They had opportunities to expand their leadership. They had a social worker assigned to them, supporting them. They had the classroom teacher providing academic support. So they felt very supported as well, and they improved the connection with their teachers. So they were poised to transition back into their schools. They had high engagement in STEAM activities, and we had growth on STAR reading and math for students at this school, so we're very proud to show that. Areas of growth, we want to make sure that when we do transition them back, that we do so successfully, and that we strengthen that communication between the Santa Margarita Academy and their home school. We want to increase average daily attendance and improve student re-engagement. The actions will continue here. Some of the highlights of the actions, as I said, increase engagement of students, improve behavioral outcomes. We want to increase collaboration and communication between staff, families, and students. And again, we monitor the effectiveness of Santa Margarita Academy. We ask teachers, we ask students, and we do bring in data. And then finally, we have assigned a classroom assistant and a social worker to provide small group and individual instruction and social emotional support. So those are just some of the high impact actions that will continue with this particular goal. Moving forward, we're going to continue to support the transition, as I said, back to their school and increase daily attendance and engagement. So then the next section of the LCAP is the 25-26 federal addendum. It's a critical component that details how Fallbrook School District meets the federal requirements of the Every Student Succeeds Act. As a recipient of Title I, Title II, Title III, and Title IV funds, we use these resources to provide supplemental support beyond what is offered through the LCAP. These funds are specifically designated to benefit student groups that generate funding, ensuring that additional services are provided and that we promote equity, academic achievement, and well-being for our most underserved students. So, Title I, supports effective evidence-based strategies that close the achievement gap for students. Title II are programs and activities that increase the abilities of teachers to effectively teach children. Title III fund activities strengthen and increase family and community engagement. And Title IV improves students' academic achievement by increasing the capacity of states, local education, LEAs, schools, and communities to provide students to a well-rounded education. So that's a brief overview of each of the titles. So what is next after all this? Well, we will open up a 2-week public comment period to gather final input and make any necessary edits. And we have a QR code here for a public comment form. And it will provide easy access to give us the input and the feedback that we need. We're going to look at that feedback and we'll make final adjustments. And we'll bring that back to you on June 24th for approval of our LCAP. Following board approval, we will submit the final LCAP to the county SDCOE in accordance with state guidelines. So as we look ahead in closing, I know it's a long presentation, and I thank you for your patience. I just want you to know that we truly have centered our work on what matters most: our students, our families, and our community. And I really love this quote because it's not just about improving outcomes. And I know you've heard me up here sharing our data and sharing the outcomes. That is absolutely important, but it goes beyond that. And it's really about expanding hope, creating opportunity, and delivering on the promise of public education. And that's what this LCAP does. It brings to vision our hope and our promise for children. So we'll open it up for questions or comments at this time. Does anybody have questions or comments?
Yeah, I think you summed it up well. This gives us opportunity for that control over our public education. I'm thankful for this process. Stating that, and also thank you for finding the Title 1, 2, and 3, and 4. I think that should be a trivia for us.
I promise I will not quiz you. Thank you for all the work that you all put in, that you and your team put in. It's phenomenal stuff that we're just looking forward to the great things to come, more great things to come. I thank you for your trust in us as a team and your commitment to our students. So thank you. Trustee Golbeck?
Thanks. On the actions for the goal 1, we've got data cycles with resource alignment. Can you break that down a little bit?
Oh yes, I was hoping you would ask that. So we are a data-driven district, but we're also a research-based district. And so from the Center of Educational Leadership, we study leadership practices that we know work. One of the key practices in that, and I can't quite quote the number, but one of the practices is leadership teams and leaders at school sites effectively analyze the data on a periodic basis. And based on that data, they say, where's the need? If I have a need in 2nd grade because my data went down, who on my staff can I allocate for that? How do I repurpose my staff? How do I allocate resources? So it means shifting the on-site, the capacity, the manpower, the resources based on the data to identify student needs. And it's difficult at times because some staff members feel like, well, I'm a reading intervention teacher and I've always been assigned to 2nd grade. But in a true community where you do resource alignment on a regular 6-week cycle, staff are there and respond to the data and are flexible and nimble to make those pivots and shifts. And so last year, we conducted resource alignment meetings with Superintendent Hazel, who spearheaded that. And we found it was a powerful strategy after our STAR 3 data for teams to look at their resources and realign them in a meaningful way. But we felt that wasn't enough. So this year, we're going to engage in more frequent cycles of resource alignment with principals and leadership teams. Superintendent Hazel, if you wanted to say anything more about that.
No, I think you did a great job. I think one of the things that, we've dedicated quite a lot of funding and staffing to our intervention programs. And so we have intervention teachers, and we also have intervention techs that are aides that support that work. And what a best practice shows is that you need to give the support when based on what the data is telling you. And so in some situations that we saw that students in the past were possibly in a program all year long. And so, there was a kindergarten program, and kindergarten students stayed in that program from September through June, regardless if the data said, wow, right now, third grade really needs some extra help. And that we should actually shift that help from kindergarten to third grade where that need is, so that we can give a quick dose of help. Intervention is never meant to be a year-long program. The classroom teacher provides the year-long program, and intervention is supposed to be short bouts of support to get the students back into the classroom. And so that's what that resource realignment is about. But you have to have a really strong monitoring system to be able to track the data throughout the year, to be able to make those pivots. And that's what we're getting closer and closer to. Ideally, we'd like to see every 6 weeks there being a shift in resources based on the data.
Awesome.
So that really kids get the help when they need it, right? And sometimes they only need a very little bit of help. 6 weeks of instruction with a reading teacher or a math teacher on a particular skill can be all that they need to jump right back into the classroom grade level work.
Thank you, Superintendent Hazel. Any other questions?
I've got one about the district wellness committee. That's the first I've heard of it. What is the structure of that committee? What are its goals, and what reports does it generate? Do we have an opportunity?
I will have Dr. Husing speak to the Wellness Committee, as she is spearheading that.
Oh, well, there's two parts to it. We have a staff wellness, and we also have a district wellness, and I serve on both of those committees. That one I think you're referring to is led by Amy Hazley, our Director of Child Nutrition Services, and it is everything to include the healthy meal choices, to the instructional strategies that are actually in the cafeterias about how kids can choose the food in the salad bars and helping them make those choices, to the recycling of the liquids. I don't know if you've seen at lunches, our kids recycle the liquids and then they take the liquids and dump them in the sinks instead of it going all in the trash can and the plastic. So there's many layers to that. We brought forward a new board policy about that. We're working on that. And then it's also the lessons that are connected with social emotional learning, the behavior lessons too, for the wellness. And then there's a staff one that's run by our risk management department, and that's staff health challenges, walking steps. We have online, virtual, and then in-person yoga or stretching sessions for physical health and trying to keep our staff being in tip-top shape, because we know if our staff is happy and healthy, then they'll be doing a better, healthy, and happy job in the classroom.
Great.
Thank you. And I just wanted to add, you can input if you like, Monica, that some of this information was given to us. It was actually given to us by someone else. You didn't get a chance because they were so long to give that that part of the information when we had the different leaders of all the and so some of us went to it, and there's still another session that whoever missed can now go to that, and that is why you don't have you didn't have that information. But yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Very good. Okay. With that, we are pleased to support our teachers and staff to continue their professional learning as they participate in conferences, enabling them to perform their duties and remain up to date on the new policies and procedures impacting their roles. At this time, we are opening public hearing 2025-2026 proposed budget for comments. Do we have any speakers?
No, we do not.
Okay, thank you. So with that, I am closing the public hearing. Mr. Armando Farias, Assistant Superintendent of Business Services, will provide an overview of 2025-26 proposal budget. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, Madam President, trustees, Superintendent Hazel, staff, colleagues, and anyone watching online. It is my true pleasure and honor to present to you the 25-26 proposed budget for Fallbrook Union Elementary School District. I'm very, very thrilled and happy to share that I invited our Director of Fiscal Services, Ms. Lindsay Pellin, to be a co-presenter with me. And when she stated that she was a little nervous, I told her, don't worry, I am too. Fallbrook Union Elementary School District budget is truly an action plan that really details the expenditures and the revenues in support of the local control and accountability plan. Specialized programs, initiatives, and priorities for the district. Just like Tabka stated it a minute ago, she was talking about the LCAP. They make the plan, we make the plan, and we pay for it. In our presentation, we will briefly cover the economy and revenues through an overview of the governor's May revise, budget assumptions, which are the planning factors for the budget itself, which includes revenues, meaning money coming into the district, expenditures, money leaving the district, and beginning and ending fund balances. And towards the end, we will be talking about next steps and the road ahead, and we will be open for questions at the end. The economy. As you know, school funding is deeply tied to the health of the state's economy. When the economy grows, state revenues increase. But when the economy slows down, funding pressures rise and budgets become tighter. The state budget and the economy. I will briefly touch on some of these factors just because I will be touching throughout the presentation as well. We're going to be talking about the big three. What are the big three? The big three are the sources of income when it comes to taxes, personal taxes, corporation taxes, use and sales taxes as well, which are slated to be about $4.8 billion lower than projected back in January for the next 3 years. We'll be talking about job growth, which has been downgraded due to a weaker labor market and conditions in federal policy and changes that truly impact employment and hiring. Inflation assumptions are about 1% higher than previously projected back in January. And we'll be also talking about what the governor calls a growth recession, which is, even though the recession is going to be growing, it's going to be at a much slower pace than projected, which a regular growth for the economy is about 2 to 3% growth, okay? And the May revision, we're going to be talking also the impacts that tariffs might have in California economy. As you know, we have 3 very important ports here in California, the Port of Oakland, the Port of Los Angeles, as well as the Long Beach port. So that'll might impact our economy, especially when if their tariffs, they have increased to 27%, or might increase to 27%. Now, I'm going to be touching on the big 3 revenue sources. Just like I stated a minute ago, they're slated to be about $4.8 billion lower than projected. What you see in this graph is the personal income tax, sales and use tax, and corporation taxes. we're looking the first bar in each of the years, which is 23, 24, 24, 25, and 25, 26. The first bar represents the governor's budget. The middle bar is the legislative analyst office, May revise outlook for 23 for that specific year, and then the May revision. In each graph, the blue section represents personal income tax, the orange section represents corporation taxes and sales taxes. Just something that I learned is that when it comes to personal taxes, here in California, we call them progressive taxes, which means that the more money we make, the higher the percentage we pay. Not a good thing. When we look at the 25-26 school year, if you take a look at the governor's budget and the May revision, we're slated to have less money, as I mentioned a minute ago. The kicker here is that Legislative Analyst Office, which is a more conservative organization, is predicting that we're going to have more money than what the May revision is stating, which is a good thing for us. More money for the state transfers into possibly more money for schools, districts. The graph also shows, we can also see that year over year, there has been multiple changes, but at the end of the day, we're expecting to have similar revenues as last year. For this slide, I just added to ensure that we have an idea of what President Donald Trump's proposed 2026 budget looks like. Although, which is a great thing, special ed and Title I monies will be funded, which is a great thing. Title III and migrant education is slated to be cut. Just as an FYI, we receive approximately $347,000 in migrant Title I and about $216,000 in Title III. One positive in our present situation is that we fund our Title I in the year after we receive the money. What does that mean? That for the 25-26 school year, we already have the money. We have the funds to spend that year. For the 26-27 school year, that might be the year that will be negatively impacted if this materializes. Does that make sense? Great. Additionally, I wanted to share this slide because I want everyone to be aware that just the way California is legally required to pass a budget, the Congress is also legally required to pass a federal budget. The process typically begins in February, where the president submits a budget, and Congress is expected to adopt a final budget by October 1st. However, as this slide demonstrates, since the federal budget process was established in 1974, it has only been completed on time 4 times out of the 51 years. So there might be changes. Okay? I believe that I need to give you a few seconds just to take a look at this slide, the funding, student enrollment. And the purpose of this graph is to show that despite some declines, especially from 2023 to 2024-25, the blue line representing enrollment and the red line representing staffing, meaning positions in our district, although there was a decline in 23-24, from 23-24, to 24-25, the staffing ratios was pretty high. I'm gonna take you back to 2019/20, where we had about 5,277 students enrolled. Okay, the very beginning of the blue line. And within that same year, we had about 554 employees. COVID hit, things happened, and then after 2020-21, we started growing our enrollment again. I'm gonna take you to 2023-24. At that point in time, we had about 5,124 students, and we had about 719 employees. Absolutely. In 23-24, we had about 5,124 students enrolled. Very different from ADA. ADA has to do with how many kids are in schools every day. And that's how we get funded. And we had, President McBride, 719 employees. Absolutely, you're welcome. Our projection for the 25-26 is that we will remain flat when it comes to students, a little over 5,000, 5,042. And our staffing is estimated to be at about 699 employees. Where am I trying to go with this? Although we're always seeking to provide the best conditions for our students when it comes to counselors, to social workers, to class size, we need to make sure that within that goal, we remain fiscally responsible. Okay? That is the goal here. I'm gonna pass it on to Ms. Pillin. She's gonna go over the budget assumptions. And then I'll come in.
Don't go far. All right. Good evening, Governing Board, Superintendent Hazel, and Cabinet. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Lindsay Pillin, and I'm your proud Fiscal Services Director. I'd like to begin by expressing my appreciation for Mr. Farias for inviting me to present this evening. Public speaking is not something I gravitate towards, as you can tell. So I appreciate opportunities like this to grow and contribute to important conversations, so thank you. This evening, I'm going to take a few moments to walk you through the key assumptions that shape our budget and explain how we've developed the budget being presented tonight. Let's begin with Proposition 98. The constitutional amendment was passed by California voters in 1988. This important measure guarantees the minimum level of funding for education in our state. Specifically, it requires 40% of the state's general fund to be dedicated to K-14 education. Building on Prop 28, in 2013, the Local Control Funding Formula, or LCFF, was introduced to simplify how school funding is allocated to give districts more flexibility and local control. The LCFF has three major components. First, the base grant. The base grant is a basic per pupil funding amount that varies depending on the grade level. It is calculated based on our district's funded ADA. Second is our supplemental grant, which provides an additional 20% of the base grant for students who are low income, English learners, or foster youth, also heard of what you might have heard, unduplicated pupil count. Third is our concentration grant. This applies to districts when more than 55% of students fall into unduplicated pupil categories. For each student above the 55% threshold, the district receives an additional 65% of the base grant amount. Simple, right? Together, these funding components aim to ensure equitable resources to meet our diverse needs of all the students in our district. As we look at how districts receive funding, it's important to understand that revenues we receive fall into two main categories: restricted and unrestricted. Restricted revenues are just as they sound. They are designated with very specific purposes. They come with very strict guidelines on how they must be spent. Examples of this funding would be special education, Title I, and the Expanded Learning Opportunities Program. On the other hand, we also receive unrestricted revenues, which provide the district with more flexibility. These funds can be used to support general operations. While they still are subject to oversight and accountability, they offer flexibility to respond to local priorities, and common examples are federal impact aid and LCFF-based grant. Understanding the difference between these two categories is key to making informed decisions about how we allocate our resources. This slide outlines the key financial assumptions our district uses in our budget development. We rely on the School Services of California's Financial Projection Dartboard as a trusted resource. It provides guidance on several important factors, including the Department of Finance's statutory COLA, LCFF base grant and grade span adjustment factors, and the California Consumer Price Index. In addition, we use the dartboard for projections relating to the mandate block grant, employer-paid taxes, and retirement benefit costs. These assumptions help ensure our financial planning aligns with state trends and expectations. These are our main revenue assumptions for the 25-26 school year. We are projecting a funded ADA of 4,731. This is based on the 24-25 P2 ADA. The 2.3% COLA has been applied to the local control funding formula, bringing our total expected LCFF revenue to $68.3 million. This includes $51.6 million in base grant and grade span adjustments, $7.8 million in supplemental grant funding, $6.9 million in concentration grant funding, and $2 million in add-on funding to support programs like transitional kindergarten and transportation. We are also estimating $6.2 million in federal impact aid. Continuing to review our assumptions, we expect to receive an additional $763,000 in home-to-school transportation reimbursement, a funding source that was new in 22-23. Our district has always provided transportation for our students. Although this funding does not cover our entire transportation budget of $3.1 million, it is a welcome change in revenue. The mandate block grant is estimated to be $39 per funded ADA, and state lottery funding is estimated to be a total of $273 per funded ADA, with $191 being unrestricted and $82 being restricted, and it must be spent on instructional materials. For expenditures, we've included step and column increases for both certificated and classified employees. Each year, every employee step advances on their board-approved salary schedule. This results in an annual cost of approximately $1.4 million for our district. Additionally, we have included the cost of substitutes to cover leave for all certificated and classified employees. District-wide class size averages, which drive our total classroom teacher FTE, have been set as follows. Transitional kindergarten, 20, kindergarten through 3rd grade, 24, and 4th through 8th grade, 29. We have also included funding for 3 reserve teachers in our budget. This allows the district to respond promptly to unexpected increases in enrollment that require opening new classrooms. Our budget includes all required statutory rates for employer-paid benefits, as well as the district's contribution towards health insurance for benefited employees. We also have allocated $649,000 for retiree benefits. Additionally, we have maintained the state-mandated 3% contribution from the general fund to routine restricted maintenance, which is essential for preserving our facilities and meeting our long-term infrastructure needs. You might be wondering, what does the COLA mean for FUESD? For the 25-26 school year, the state is giving districts 2.3% COLA. For FUESD, that means an increase of $314,000 in our LCFF base grant and grade span adjustment revenue. You might be thinking that 2.3% That doesn't make sense, right? $300,000. And the reason for that is declining enrollment. From 23-24, as you saw in Armando's chart, to 24-25, we saw a decrease in enrollment by 80 students, which reduces our average daily attendance, and ADA directly impacts how much funding we receive. The state uses the highest ADA from 3 options to calculate our funding. 1, this year's ADA, 2, last year's ADA, or 3, an average of the last 3 years, whichever is higher. This year we were protected because we were allowed to use last year's ADA. So going forward into the 25-26 school year, we will have to account for the loss of those 80 students, which means we will lose over $800,000 in revenue. So even with the COLA, we're only seeing a net increase of $300,000 to our LCFF base grant. All right. Multi-year projections are required to be included in our proposed budget. It's important to remember that these projections are just planning tools, not predictions. They're based on industry standard assumptions, local estimates, and decisions that the governing board has already made. While they help us evaluate long-term impact of today's budget decisions, they are not forecasts or measures of accuracy. They're simply a guide to support informed, responsible planning. I will now turn the presentation over to Mr. Farias, who will provide a detailed overview of the budget that we're presenting this evening.
Thank you, Lindsay. I'm back. So the budget. It is important to find out and to know what is the total cost of the budget that we're expecting for the 25-26 school year. The total cost is a little over $103.8 million. What are the revenues? For the unrestricted, meaning categorical, meaning is up to pretty much to our discretion based on the needs of our students. LCFF resources are about $68.3 million. And I think that it's important for me to really explain what the LCFF is. As we know, the LCAP is the plan that we put forth. We have every single step, the benchmarks and all of that, the goals that we have. The LCFF is the formula that the state uses to find out how much revenue we're going to receive based on the unduplicated counts. Students who live in poverty, foster youth, and English language learners. Does that make sense? And homelessness, yes, thank you. Federal revenue, just like Lindsay stated it, is the impact aid. And for the past few years, we had allocated about $4.5 million, but we have received more than that. And we think that it's important that moving forward, we align it based on what we're receiving, because we have, like I stated, received over 4.5 for the past at least 4 to 5 years, for transparency purposes as well. And state revenue, $1.8 million, local revenue about 101, and contributions. It's very, very important. Take a look at this number, and I think you've seen it before. It is in parentheses. Why is it in parentheses? And it says contributions. This is not a contribution that we're getting extra. This is a contribution from within our own money, the unrestricted fund. We're pulling it from here, over $14.7 million, and putting it in restricted for special ed supports. Special ed has become a very, very expensive program, which we definitely fund because we fund every single penny based on the needs of our students, but these are a huge expense. Unrestricted general fund expenditures, certificated salaries, it's about $31 million. Classified salaries, about 10.7. Employee benefits, as you can see, supplies, services, for total expenditures of about $65.4 million. These are the expenditures in the unrestricted. But we just took a look and the total revenues are 61.7, and the expenditures is 65.4. As you can see, that we're spending more than we're receiving. Very, very important to keep in mind. Balancing the budget, the unrestricted again side of the house, beginning fund balance as of July 1st, 2025, we're going to start with $17.5 million. The total revenues that I just talked about 61.7, and total expenditures about $65.4 million for an ending balance next June 30th, of 2026 of $13.8 million. And we'll be open for questions in just a few minutes. This is the restricted side of the house. For the LCFF, local control funding formula source, we're receiving about $470,000, $471. Federal revenue is about 3.3, state revenue about $15 million, local revenue about 4.6. The contributions that I just spoke about, that was in parentheses because it was a decrease in that unrestricted, it's a positive now because it's coming into this budget. Is a contribution that came from our general fund. Okay, for total revenues in the restricted general fund of about $38.3 million. Again, I'll go into the expenditures. Certificated salaries, as you can see, is about $10.1 million. Classified salaries about $7. Employee benefits, supplies, services, and so on, for a total expenditures of about $38.4 million. Again, we're spending slightly more here, but with the contribution that we just made. Balancing the budget, restricted. This is just the restricted. Beginning from balance as of July 1st, 2025, we'll be having about $7.3 million. Total revenues about 38.2. Total expenditures about 38.4 for an ending fund balance in June 30th of 2026 of about $7.2 million. Balancing the budget, unrestricted and restricted. The whole enchilada together here. Okay? Beginning fund balance, the 17 million that I just spoke about plus the 7 is about $25 million. Okay, that's where we started the school year as of July 1st, 2025, in a little less than a month. Total revenues, it's close to $100 million, and total expenditures is a little over $103.8 million. The restricted ending fund balance is $7.2 million, and the unrestricted ending fund balance is about $13.8 million. And the unrestricted ending fund balance, it's the reserve that we have in the unrestricted side of the budget. Reserves. What are our reserves? Our reserves, we have about 13.56%. What is the minimum reserve required for districts our size? It's about $3 million, about 3%. Okay? But again, very, very important. What would 3% do for our district in case something really bad happens? That will help us solve financial obligations for about 2 weeks. So, maximum reserve that we're allowed to have is 10%. Having said that, because the state's fund balance falls below the 3% for the 24-25 school year, we're allowed to have the 13.56%. The reserve in the general fund projected to be is $13.8 million. The balance in the special reserve fund, not included in assigned balance, is projected to be about $389,000, in addition to our special reserve fund that has one-time reserves, meaning one-time monies, totaling about $4.2 million. What does this include? This includes about $3.5 million in impact aid reserves. I just mentioned that we have not always received the impact aid on time. I believe it was last year that we received back year or the year before back years. So we need to make sure that we have a reserve there. We also, through the generosity of the board, we have an existing MOU with our union partners for healthcare benefits that were increased back in January. We'll be at the table negotiating that rather soon. This is just an example. I want to showcase this to the board and anyone else who's interested. We have the average unrestricted general fund plus fund 17 ending balances. I just want to make sure that you have kind of like a baseline. What are the other districts' reserves? Okay, for unified school districts, in the 23-24, there was an average of about 24.36%. For elementary schools, districts, I'm sorry, about 25.5%, and for high schools, 24.4%. Also, when it comes to district size, which we fall in the third category, the 5,001 to 5,000, I'm sorry, if it's ADA, we fall in the 1,000 to 5,000, it's about 25.36% that they have in reserves. Other districts. Does that make sense? Perfect. The road ahead and next steps. What is it that we plan on doing as a district, but most importantly, I'm sorry, as a business department, is to make sure that we continue monitoring the economy. Politically speaking, there are a lot of changes, and we don't know exactly 100% where we stand. The impact on tariffs, work conflicts, Ukraine, Russia, possibly China. If that happens, that is definitely going to impact us. Unemployment in California, average daily attendance, which is very, very important. We can have, for example, and this is just an exaggeration, 7,000 kids enroll in our school, in our district. But if only 4,000 show up, we only get funding for 4,000. So we really need to monitor that, and we're monitoring that. Actually, we have grown in our ADA, which is a good thing. I believe that we're at 94%. We need to be at 100%. And I'm sure you all agree with that. Absolutely. And the road ahead, the state legislature will vet the governor's proposals and consider some of its own balances to balance the state budget for 25-26. As state revenues continue to be unpredictable, our budget practices must be fiscally responsible. I'm always, when it comes to budget, I'm on the conservative side of the house. I prefer to add positions than to buy positions and then say we don't need them. So I'm always pushing for that. Actually at work and at home as well. Planning for potential staffing program adjustments in the 25-26. And if that is to happen, we need to start the conversation and a collaborative approach ASAP. Communication will be key. The involvement of school community will be critical as we navigate future budget years. And maximizing our revenues will definitely provide fiscal flexibility. What is the timeline? We will present the budget to the board and a recommendation for approval at the June 24th board meeting. The deadline for the governor to cite the budget is June 30th. In July/August, we will revise FUESD budget based on state's enacted budget and close the books for the 24-25. And I'll be back in September to ensure that I present to you and share with you the United actuals for the 24-25 school year. What does that mean? Really presenting to you the final books for this school year and letting you know how we fare throughout the year. With that, thank you so much. We're open, Lindsay and I, for questions.
Thank you, Mr. Farias. That was amazing. The work you guys do is really empowering and encouraging. And I'm got a question about average unrestricted general fund. So when we see those averages for 1,000 to 5,000 ADA at 25.36, And we see our unrestricted ending fund balance projected 6/30/26 of 13.8 million. And then we look at our unrestricted budget, which total expenditures 65 million. 20% of that's 13 million, right?
Say that again, please.
Yep. Total expenditures, unrestricted general fund, 65.436, right? So 20% of that is 13 million.
Correct.
And so our unrestricted ending fund balance is 13.8 million.
Correct.
So we're looking at about a 20% unrestricted general fund ending balance.
If we include the special reserves, yes.
We include the special reserves. Okay, so we're within the band of normal when compared to other districts our size.
I would
maybe
say
a 10%
I'm
off.
sorry, only on the unrestricted side of the house, I will say we're about 17%.
Unrestricted side.
Yes. Yeah, and I'm clearing the special reserve that I talked about, totally for the impact aid. I will go back in my slides, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Go ahead. Sure.
So when we're looking at our percentage of reserve, which is 13.6, it doesn't include the assigned balances in Fund 17. And so assigned is that $3.5 million in impact aid, plus the 743 reserve for the healthcare MOU. And so 13.56, you could include that 4.2 to get what Armando was saying, that 17%. Does that make sense?
So those reserves are both restricted and unrestricted, right?
Those are unrestricted.
Those are
reserves.
unrestricted.
Yes, this is all unrestricted.
This is all unrestricted.
Yes.
Okay.
Our restricted ending fund balances are one-time money that we have received, revenue we received. One example would be our arts and music instruction materials block grant. It's a part of that reserve in the restricted category, and we have that set aside for a math textbook adoption currently. And so we don't include our restricted ending fund balances in our reserve percentages.
Because they're earmarked and allocated for
Restricted.
expenditures already.
Yes.
So when we're looking at the average reserve percentages, and it says average unrestricted general fund plus Fund 17
Yes.
ending balances, we're only talking about unrestricted general funds.
Correct.
And then when we're looking at the balancing the budget slide, ending fund balance, unrestricted general fund, we're looking at 13.8 million.
Yes.
Yes. So as a percentage of our total expenditures for unrestricted general fund, 65 million is the expenditures. 20% of 65 million is 13 million.
Well, you're talking about the 65%, $65 million, which is the LCFF.
Yes, so the reserve percentage takes into account both of our unrestricted and restricted expenditure budgets.
For the state cap.
Yeah.
But for the district comparison,
Sure. So the comparison was really just to kind of show that we are a little bit below average. I don't think that's unusual. I think that most districts in this current school year are experiencing kind of that end of the COVID era of ESSER funding, where we experienced that at the end of last school year. We were a little bit ahead of that. And so I think their reserve balances on average in other districts are going to be a little bit higher because they were still spending their one-time ESSER funds.
I think that it's very, very important to share also that many districts use their ESSER funds to build projects or to improve projects. We use our ESSER funds to improve learning conditions for our students.
And if I may add,
Yes. Yes. Social, emotional, and yes. Shiny projects sometimes. Yes.
if I may add to that, what I read on some of the articles for CSBA, from CSBA, is that the schools that did hold on to it till now, which there were several, were then complaining because with everything that's happening, correct me if I'm wrong, but from the administration, the federal administration was saying, if you didn't use it, that's it. You're losing it now because you had extra time, and they literally were fighting about that. And yeah, so that was part of the problem, is that we're supposed to have used it by now. And yeah.
I guess the point that I'm pursuing here is when we look at our ending fund balance of our unrestricted and restricted fund with the cap, we're at 13%, which is 3% over the state cap, but we're given that exclusion. But I think that this data is average unrestricted general fund plus 17 ending balance. So we're not talking about restricted fund there.
No.
Right. So we're only 5% off of the averages. And so if we're pursuing fiscal conservatism and having a reserve base in case of uncertainty, we're doing pretty well.
We're in a good place.
Okay, cool.
It's very, very important also to state that these are one-time monies, okay? And I'm just gonna say it, we're gonna engage in negotiations possibly within the next few months. We have to be very, very careful with this money because this is not ongoing. And you shouldn't negotiate money that is one time. Thank you.
So if I may ask a question, so why does the budget focus on the ADA daily, so the daily average, instead of the just the enrollment?
Because the state funding is based on students who are, we call it on seats every single day. And like I said, we have about over 5,000 kids who are enrolled in our district, but based on averages, we have about 4,700 kids showing up every day. It might be also kind of like an accountability tool from the state to ensure that we push for every single kid to be in school every single day.
That makes sense.
We are one of very few states in the country that that allocates funding like that. Not all other states. I think there's only, you'd have to check my data, but I had heard that it was only 4 states in the country that allocate funding based on average daily attendance versus the number of students enrolled.
Thank you.
So it's a choice that California makes.
There are pros and cons when it comes to that because at the end of the day, we have over 5,000 kids enrolled who show up throughout the year. Any other questions? Thank you very much, everyone. Trustee Favela, do you have a question? I'm sorry. Absolutely.
Federal outlook of situation, all that's been an area of concern. So thank you for including that.
You're very welcome. Thank you. Good job. Thank you. It's always great being here, guys.
Thank you very much. Okay, we are pleased to support our teachers and staff to continue the professional learning as we participate. Oh, I'm sorry. So we're going to human resources. Action, probationary second to the tenure status. It is recommended the governing board approve the following certificated employees completing their second consecutive year of employment in a probationary position requiring certification of re-election. Employees number 641400, 649686, 657381, 657310, 606271, 636829, 643695, 622925, 524593, 609832, 642983, 617751, 060122, 514786, 658423, 658374, 657313, 649346, 601938, 642064, 615560, 657-298, 649-203, 660-848, 641-562, 637-809, 657-382. Do I have a motion on this?
So moved.
And do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any comments at this time? Okay.
I think I'm really excited to talk about this because these are successful new teachers to Fallbrook who have completed the expectations and exceeded them. We're very rigorous in our expectations with our new teachers because when you go from a probationary teacher to a tenure teacher, it's like a marriage. Like they are with us. They are our team member from now on. We, unless we go through layoffs, which hopefully we don't, but then they're our team members. So it is a very serious discussion that we have with principals from the Department of Human Resources, from the Ed Services, and from the Fiscal Department. Like, are these the people we want on our team? And so after those very serious, very challenging conversations, these are the staff members and the team members who have made that, made those high expectations. So thank you in advance, and I want to congratulate the teachers who are included in this list because I know what that hard work has meant for them.
Thank you. Okay, with that, I will take a vote. Okay, Trustee Moran,
Aye.
Trustee Favela,
Aye.
Trustee Gobet.
Aye.
I also vote aye, and with that, the motion passes. It is recommended the governing board approve the employment of speech pathologist Melissa Hoy on a variable term waiver. Do I have a motion?
I'll motion to approve.
Thank you. Second?
A second?
Any comments, questions? Okay, with that, I will call a vote. Trustee Gobet,
Aye.
Trustee Favela,
Aye.
Trustee Moran,
Aye.
and I also vote aye. With that, the motion passes. Okay, it is recommended the governing board approve the recommendation for a new social worker or special assignment job description. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
A second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any comments? Any questions on this? Okay, with that, I will call for the vote. Trustee Moran,
Aye.
Trustee Golbeck,
Aye.
Trustee Favela.
Aye.
I also vote aye, so with that, that motion passes. Now we're on to the consent agenda. It is recommended the governing board approve the consent agenda as presented. Do I have a motion?
I motion.
Thank you. A second?
I'll second.
Any comments? Okay, with that, I will call for the vote. As, Trustee Moran,
Aye.
Trustee Favela,
Aye.
Trustee Golbeck.
Aye.
With that, and I also vote aye, and the motion passes. With that, we will adjourn the meeting. The meeting is adjourned at 8:11 p.m.